Thank you very much again, Representative Morales and Senator Mack. This growing coalition is so appreciative of everything you've done to really start to move this forward, and for the others who have joined in as well. So we do have a few people who make up the coalition here to speak, and so I would like to introduce first Angela Howard McParland, who serves on the justice team for the Sisters of Mercy of the Americas, which is an order of Catholic sisters with a strong presence here in Rhode Island. She has previously served as a chaplain at Brown University and LaSalle Academy, and has long been involved in interfaith and social justice work around the state.
Good afternoon. This is the one that's hot, right?
You're on.
Just a few days ago, many around the world paused to remember now Saint Oscar Romero, the Archbishop in El Salvador who was assassinated at the altar for speaking out against the militarism that was devastating his country and its people. Romero famously said, "We have enough weapons and bullets. We are fed up with weapons and bullets. Our hunger is for justice, food, medicine, education, and effective programs of equitable development. Once we have respect for human rights in this country, the last thing we shall need is weaponry and the machinery of death." He was talking about El Salvador, but his words ring true today here in our US. The religious community I work for, our purple shirts here, the Sisters of Mercy, prioritize nonviolence as one of our critical concerns. That is, we work to improve our own individual practices of nonviolence and peacemaking. We collaborate with organizations, many represented here, that foster peace. And we work to change violent systems and structures. Nonviolence is not one of simply many of a litany of social justice issues, but it's the very thread that weaves them all together. And it's the method by which we have to operate. Nuclear weapons and other weapons of war do not promote peace and nonviolence, despite this often professed theory of deterrence. In fact, any peace resulting from stockpiling and silent threats is not, by definition, a true and genuine peace when we remain a hair trigger away from global devastation. Currently, the US is poised to spend $1.5 trillion to upgrade and modernize its nuclear weapons. Money that will then not be used to address the real security threats facing our nation: climate change, systemic racism, growing economic inequality, and polarization that leads to violence. Passage of H7518 and S2423 would place Rhode Island as a leader in the pursuit of diplomacy and global cooperation by urging the federal government to sign on to the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons, already ratified by 59 nations, including the Vatican, one of the original signers at the UN in 2017. H7482 and S2589 focus us more locally, and they open the door to a potential shift in priorities away from military spending towards a more just and humane world, including industries that prioritize the most vulnerable, address our rising sea levels, and ensure transition for those employed in the war economy. Our tiny state already leads the way in peacemaking. We have a nationally renowned nonviolence institute training more and more people in how to build the beloved community. We have coalitions, both faith-based and not, against gun violence, domestic violence, and the sheer number of organizations here that promote cooperation and continue to direct our focus on the disproportionate burden violence exacts on the poor and on communities of color. As a faith community, we are familiar with the way the divine can both comfort and afflict us, often simultaneously. We're comforted by the assurance of God's nearness to those suffering the effects of violence, while also reminded it is our work to strive for peace, to resist war even in our own hearts and around the world, starting right here in Little Rhodey. I'll close with Pope Francis's words from his 2019 visit to Hiroshima, Japan. He said, "In a single plea to God on behalf of all the victims of atomic bombings and experiments, and of all conflicts, let us together cry out from our hearts. Never again war, never again the clash of arms, never again so much suffering. May peace come in our time, and to our world. Where destruction has abounded, may hope also abound today, that we can write and achieve a different future. Make us instruments and reflections of your peace. Thank you.